Hey, what's going on, everyone? Justin again, as always. Thanks for watching my channel. Welcome back, TGIF. How are you all doing? So I figured I'd go ahead and do a little podcast slash video vlog of the Audi. Everyone keeps asking, how was Audi? Tell us stories about Audi. So yeah, why not? Let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Maybe we'll get a chance to meet up later for TGIF live hangout. All right. Man, I was just cut from a different piece of the iron, if you know what I mean. When I first got to Audi, you know, and I had videos that I had posted, but it was requested of me to please take them down or what have you. But, you know, of course, now we don't work there anymore. So freedom of speech, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, it was like going to Yale or Harvard University. Like if you were a college dude, let's put it this way, there's a few different types of people out there, right? You got those that never graduated high school, but managed to fit into a trade and are doing really well. You got those that did graduate high school, got into the trade, doing very, very well. You got those that went to community college, in a trade, whatever school, doing very well. Or not, okay? Maybe they're not doing well at all. Maybe nobody's doing well. And then you got those that went to a major university. And some of those major universities are harder to get into than others. That much is for sure, right? Like, yeah, for the most part, if you had the money, you can go to Cal State, Berkeley, University of Oregon, whatever, pick your flavor. But it takes a special kind of someone to get into like Harvard or Yale. So that's kind of where it was at when it was like stepping foot on campus with the Audi platform. They had the McLaren, Lamborghini, Bentley, you know, there was Porsche. I mean, I'm going to tell you, these cars were just gems, my man, gems. Okay, and look, I understand they got their protocol. This is the part where I was cut from a different piece of iron. Look, I'm the kind of guy that can walk up to a car, pop the hood, look at where the water pump is, determine the size of the bolts, look at the pulleys, know which way to turn the tensioner, yank belt, start getting things going, and I'm done, right? At the very least, I might go into the book to look up the torque spec for said water pump. But that's probably about it. I'm not gonna look up the procedure on how to take it apart and put it back together. Because I'm a nuts and bolts guy, man. I just know how to do that stuff, especially after doing it for over a decade, right? These guys are a little bit different. They absolutely, I mean, and look, I'm not saying it to be mean, but they're nerds. They have to absolutely have the book in front of them, right? They really want to be in that book. They want it in front of you. They want you to go step by step, alphabetical and sequential order without skipping a beat. Unless you've been there for a certain period of time, you fall under a favoritism category, and in which case, I guess you can do whatever the heck you want. But if you're new and you're trying to be broken in, even if you had past experience, they don't like it. They don't like it at all. And in fact, any tiny mistake, and they're going to always come back to, well, did you look at the book? Did you see what the book said? That was their go-to. So it just really wasn't working out for me per se, okay? Because there were a handful of things that were silly simple. A couple of little errors, you know what I mean? One of them I recall was a brake flush that I was doing. It's pretty crazy, right? Because Audi has actually 6 bleed screws. And I was like, okay. And the brake fluid flush machine they had, you only had hoses for, was it one side? No, 4 sides. Usually the hoses for all 4 valves on a typical domestic, but I do believe that their brake fluid flush machine had a single valve, meaning like one little hose to suck the fluid out of. I could have had 4. Let's just say it had 4 for sake of argument, all right? Still doesn't cover all 6. So I can't exactly pressure bleed it. First of all, I was told to manually bleed it. I was given a bottle with brake fluid in it, and I was told do it the old school way. Here you go. Well, there's only one bottle. He's like, well, incorporate that with the brake fluid pressure machine and just do it that way. Okay, that's still only 5, and I have 6 valves, plus I have to do an ABS bleed, which means I need to be in the car and somebody else to open and close valves. Basically, I was just asking for help. But he was obviously too busy. He started kind of getting in my face and yelling at me about it. So I kind of got back in his face and was trying to explain myself to him. they took that as me not listening to my core leadership or whatever. And at that point, I was just kind of done with it, man. I'm going to be honest. Look, I'm really not aggressor. It's not I never really like to get into anything with anybody. And I'm totally always down to listen to somebody who has seniority over me and follow the instructions, right? I've been in the military for, 17 years and retired. Of course I know how to follow directions and instructions. There were some things, though, that you had to think outside the box, because even though I was told to look in the book didn't always have the A to Z approach. They would have you start at A and then have you jump to D and then go back to C. So, look, overall, it just wasn't for me, man. It wasn't my slice of bread. You know what I mean? So I had to take a step away from that. I tried it. I tried to go with the big dogs and join Yale and Harvard University there. But at the end of the day, I'm a community college boy, man. I'm a small town, blue collar. Let's get it done, son. Yank, rip, tear, and figure it out as I go. That's my method. That's always been my method. That's the independent way of thinking. If you come to any independent shop, there's not guys going to the computer and sitting there looking up every single sequence of how to take something apart. They might flash through it real quick, get an idea, like, okay, gonna need some gaskets. Okay, here's another situation. At Ford Ranger, I was doing the water pump and stuff on, right? I chose to recover the refrigerant from that because I couldn't just move the compressor off to the side. My first thought was take the compressor up, set it to the side, try to avoid messing with the AC system. Wasn't a possibility, had to recover, right? Sure, I could have found that out if I went to the book first, but we were trying. You don't know unless you try, right? You got to try. Yes, you got to fail. We were just talking about that the other day. And, I don't really still consider a fail. It's a learning curve, if anything else. It's the learning curve, man. These people that learn diagnosis, the people that learn how to wrench for a living like myself, taking things apart and putting them back together. You know what my biggest motivational piece here would be? What my biggest thing I would tell those of you that are like, man, I really want to do it, but I'm nervous about it, or I'm scared about, messing it up. Go, put your hands in, dive in head first. Don't be afraid to mess up. Everybody messes up, right? Things sometimes break. The shop's going to cover down on that and take care of it, okay? But like even when it comes down to multi-point inspections, I've had guys that are like, oh, dude, a BMW oil pan, that's like a 12 to 16 hour job. I'm just gonna avoid telling them that it's leaking because I don't want to be the guy stuck with that. No, stop it. That's not your call. If it's leaking, annotate it. If you're lucky enough to get selected for it, good. You're gonna end up learning how to do that. Next thing you know, you'll be the German car guy. You know what I mean? I'm not scared of shit when it comes to these cars, all right? I'm really not. Even when it comes to electrical troubleshooting, I'll try. I'll pull a wiring diagram. I might walk up to somebody like, so is this right? Should I be seeing this from this? I can do pin-to-pin out locations and ohm a circuit. I get all that stuff. But again, it's all through trial and error, right? That's how you learn. It's everything in learning. And then you get to a certain point after all these years where you don't need the book so much, right? There's a lot of diagnosticians that in the beginning, I'm sure they needed the book for the first handful of years. And now you talk to those same diagnosticians, vehicle comes in, he sees a P0300, P0302. I guarantee you he already has a strategy in his head of how he's going to attack this without having to go to the book. Guarantee it, right? You talk to somebody like myself, F Ford 150, rear-wheel drive comes in, transmission needs to be replaced. I'm not going to have to look at the book unless I need to find out how much fluid I need to put in afterwards. That's about it. You know what I mean? So it's through experience. It's through trying. It's not being afraid. It's having the courage and the confidence to keep moving forward. And within yourself, you have to feel confident in what your capabilities are. And that moment that you start lacking that confidence, that's the moment when you're going to beat yourself up. That's the moment when your hours are going to start sliding because you just falling into that rut. And everyone kind of falls into that rut. And then somehow you get remotivated and you get back in, you get back up and you get back into it. You know what I mean? I've been there, I've done that. I've fallen in the rut a few times. Still on my feet, you know what I'm saying? All right, so that's all I got for today's video. That was my Audi story, man. Look, short and sweet. Bottom line, they're book guys through and through. They follow that book to a T. That's all they care about. And that's about it. It just wasn't for me. I'm not a book guy. Never have been, never will be. That's all I got. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers and deuces.